What's up, this is Chosen, and in this video we are going to be talking about one of the new epics to the game that is quickly becoming one of my favorite, and how you can take advantage of this guy being a god in the arena for Genbo the Dishonored. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so we are going to dive into the index under the newest faction in the game, Shadowkin, and Genbo is going to be down here on the bottom, the Void Attack Epic right here. And you know I got you with the infographic right here down below in the pinned comment that you can see for the masteries that I am using in this video, and a general breakdown of the stat priority, the optimal sets, the books required, and the grades up there in the top middle, along with the multipliers on the far bottom right. So now let's go ahead and get some stat and kit analysis here first before we dive into the build for Genbo. And first of all, love how this guy looks. I absolutely love the dual wielding swords. Definitely matches the aesthetic of being a nuking DPS in the Shadowkin faction. So, alright, in the stats, we've got the base HP is definitely low. 14k is pretty low. This guy is a nuker glass cannon DPS because the base defense is not even 1,000 to make up for that 14k HP. But the base attack of 1409 is insane for an epic. Then the base speed of 99 is perfectly fine. This guy is not an Arbiter, Lysandra, turn meter booster, 199 speed, whatever, that is fine. Crit rate of 15 is normal. Crit damage, he gets the boosted version, is typically 50, but he gets 60, and then he also gets 30 resistance and 0 accuracy. He doesn't really need to be built with accuracy, so that is totally fine. Now for the kit, unfortunately the books jump out to you there, 8 books on the A1, but we've got twin soul swords, attack one enemy 2 times. Each hit is going to steal any increased attack, so not just remove it from them. He's going to place it on himself. An increased attack is obviously a big deal on Genbo. Then each hit also has a 30% chance of stealing 1 random buff. Now, remember, if you want these things to take effect, you're going to need accuracy to steal or manipulate things from your opponents when it comes to the chance of stealing 1 random buff. But if we keep reading, him stealing the increased attack buff cannot be resisted. So that's why I said he doesn't really need accuracy. He does get a little bit more value out of having accuracy, but you don't want to really sacrifice accuracy to not like at the risk of making his nukes less awesome. So I would prioritize the damage, and if you get a little bit of accuracy to make the stealing of random buffs a little bit more consistently, that's fine, but he is mainly a glass cannon nuker. Then on the A2, we've got the Heartless Blitz, attack all enemies with an 80% chance that we can book up to 100 of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. Remember, you do need accuracy for that. And like I said, it can start to seem like he needs accuracy, but trust me, you want to prioritize this guy as a nuker. I will show you how I use him as my arena speed farmer in Gold 4. And again, if you keep reading similar to last time, it's going to say the effect cannot be resisted on critical hits. So it's going to look like he needs accuracy, but in the way you use him, and then coupling that with the fact that some of this stuff can't be resisted, you're always going to be critting with him if you build him right. You want him to be 100% crit rate, so cannot be resisted here on the A2. And then we've got the part of stealing the increased attack that cannot be resisted as well. So it can start to seem like accuracy is a priority, but once you kind of dive a little deeper, keep reading, and get to building him, you will learn that you don't really need it. Then the A3, this is super cool. We've got a place 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 3 turns. We can book it to a 4-turn cooldown, so almost permanent on this guy. And we're going to grant an extra turn. I love mechanics in this game where it grants an extra turn because it's basically free stuff that you can get. You bring this guy in an arena composition, you only need to build him with 70% crit rate. Because he's going to do this to himself when he takes his turn. He's going to take his crit rate from 70 to 100. And then he's going to also boost up his 30% crit damage. We're going to stack that on top. And then he's going to take an extra turn and nuke anyway. So awesome abilities when they grant extra turn. I love this A3. But it gets better because this is why I love him. And this is why he is the nuker of choice for me when it comes to speed farming Gold 4. Immune to decreased attack debuffs, and will ignore unkillable buffs. It's so annoying when you proc all those swift parry sets, and then you guys sit there, take over, manual, try to get rid of the unkillable, or you're going up against all those skull crowns. Skull crowns, one of the most popular champions in Gold League in the arena. You're going to go against them all the time, and then they always go unkillable, and you got to sit here and deal with it. So Genbo is basically tailor-made to take care of that. He has a passive where he's just always going to ignore unkillable buffs, and it does work against Skull Crown. He can one-shot them easy peasy, no problem, because he is basically always under an increased attack buff, which is the qualifier to get him to ignore the unkillable. He's going to steal it himself, but he won't get a chance to do that if you're using him as a nuker. But if you bring him with anybody who does an increased attack buff, he is going to ignore unkillable every time, which if you're doing some sort of a high-speed farming and nuking strategy, 99.9% of the time, you're going to bring an increased attack buff for your nuker. And he also gets the ally speed in arena battles by 20% here on the Aura. So the whole kit, it synergizes well. It's really cool. It provides a carved out role in the game. I think they did a great job in designing his base stats and his kit. So now let's head on over to the Genbo that I have got built as my arena nuker, and we will talk about the building process, the stats required, the masteries, and everything you need to know when getting this guy built. Okay, so here is my Genbo pulled up, and remember, up on that infographic down there, we've got the optimal sets up there on the top right. Savage is definitely one of them. You want anything ignoring defense. Savage is one of the best sets in the game for damage dealers. We've got the new set coming soon in the next iteration of the Doom Tower, the lethal set, which is going to be a buffed up version of Savage. But for now, getting this guy in any sort of cruel, savage, lots of ignore defense, lots of DPS coming out, crit damage, crit rate. That's the stuff you're really prioritizing on this guy, even above things like speed, because if he's going last in your rotation and you've got your team properly set up, you don't need this guy to be up at like 230, 250 speed. You can have him be a little bit lower, wearing attack percent boots, really stack up those stats, have him go last, and as long as you're tuned properly, this guy is going to nuke like crazy. So if you want to see my total stats, here you go to compare to yours. About 28k HP, 5400 attack, 2100 defense, 183 speed, 77 crit rate. Remember, anything above 70 is okay because we're going to go from 70 to 100 when we're using him in a nuking scenario. He's going to place that 30% increased crit rate buff on himself, along with buffing up his crit damage as well to go along with it. So the 77% looks alarming at first glance, but it is totally fine, and it's honestly a little bit overkill. We get 239 crit damage, and then the resistance and accuracy, not a big deal. He does get a little bit of value out of accuracy, but in the context I'm using him as an arena speed farmer, a damage carry, I'm not going to be needing the accuracy really on him. Which leads us into the banner. Probably attack, going to be the best choice on him. We want to get that attack scaled up super high to take advantage of how it's going to scale with all those crits and the crit damage that we're bringing along with it. And then the best version of the attack substat. The banner, you can get the flat attack and the attack percent rolled on there, so that would be ideal for him. And then on the amulet, obviously the best in slot is crit damage. You want to scale that crit damage as high as we can to take advantage of the high base attack and the crits that we are placing. The shield effect ring, the blood shield ring, is cool. He's going to be cranking out damage, can help you in faction wars to keep him with a little bit of shield on himself. And this one went triple attack, so I absolutely loved it. Threw it on there. Then for the boots, you can go speed boots. There's nothing wrong with that, and as long as you get him tuned right to perform in your build. But if you've got good enough glyphs and good enough gear to make it happen, you can go attack percent boots on him. Super easy, and as long as you get it tuned right, he's gonna nuke just fine. You don't have to go speed boots on him. Attack percent boots can be great. The chest, we're gonna have to take advantage of the attack and the nuking style, so obviously getting attack is the main stat. The substats, we want crit rate, crit damage, and really scaling him up as a nuker. The same with the gloves. We're going to pair that with the amulet, get as much crit damage as we can. And it's even a little bit more realistic on him to not need crit rate gloves because of only needing 70% crit rate when we're building him as a nuker. So you really want to go for crit damage gloves on him and make that work. And then for the top pieces, they are pretty simple. You're just looking to hit that 70% crit rate threshold and get as much crit damage as you can, along with getting enough speed to be properly tuned for your team. Now, as we dive into the booking process for this guy, it's a double-edged sword. He does take a pretty decent amount of books. You've got the 8 plus the 5 right here is 13, and then plus the 2 is 15, and you can see on the infographic right up there, it shows you the 15 books required. So it does take a lot, but the flip side of that is you really don't need to spend a crazy amount of books on him. honestly, the way I use him, the most important thing you're getting from the books is the 20% damage that you get here at level 2 and level 4 on the A2 here, because like just getting cooldown on this, if you're using him as an arena nuker, it's not that big of a priority, not that big of a deal. And on the A1, we're not really worried about the buff chance and the damage on the A1 as an arena nuker. So really, if you just get this A2 to level 4 here, the 3rd upgrade, that's really all I would want him for in my context. You can see here, I was booking him during CVC, and I actually did save one here on the A1. I didn't fully book him, but almost. I figured he's worth it. I'm going to use him as my DPS carry for the Shadowkin faction when that comes out. I'll pair him with Ninja and kind of try to put a team together around that with Ninja and Genbo as my DPS, and then some support around that when Shadowkin finally launches. But the nice thing is, in the context of nuking in the arena, he really doesn't need that whole, like a whole ton of books spent on him. But if you do want to be super budget about it, just try to get to level 4 on the A2 here, and you should be ready to rock. Then as far as the Masteries, obviously anytime we've got a nuking build, we want Helm Smasher. We're already ignoring some defense, ideally on him via Savage or Cruel. So the more we can ignore, the better it's going to stack up with those huge, massive crit damage crits. And then it is nice to get this one here when you're attacking champions with full HP. That's just 5% more damage when you're nuking. I love this one here. For the first hit on each enemy, you get 8%. Obviously amazing for nukes. You could even get this one here, higher targets with max HP. He's going to do 6% more. So we're just stacking all these little damage bonuses, and when you're critting as hard as he's going to be, those stacked bonuses get to be pretty massive numbers. So he's going to have low HP most of the time. He's built mainly for attack, so you'll get a lot of value out of Bring It Down and some of these other masteries in here to go alongside Helm Smasher. And then you don't really need to go down the support tree on him. You can kind of just head down this defense tree here and get a little bit of value. Counterattack when he loses some of his HP, and just some of these random little defense buffs, because you don't really get a whole lot of value out of the support tree. If you want to see what this guy is capable of as your campaign farmer, I will show you a run on 12-3 Brutal. Now, he's obviously going to one-shot when he does his AoE on the waves and stuff, but he doesn't have, like, multiple AoE abilities or an AoE A1, so he's not going to be the god tier of the god tier for an XP farmer, but he can do it just fine somewhere between 12 and 15 seconds when he's properly built for damage. But this is how we're going to use him, right? I got an arena team here set up with him to let you see some nukes going down. Right there, the extra turn and the nuke. Here's a Skull Crown, easy money. Saris is going to remove the shield. And then we got Genbo buffing himself, and boom, Skull Crown, GG. We're ignoring that Unkillable. We don't need to worry about taking over, playing on manual, or having something set up to remove Unkillable. It's okay, because he is going to smash it down as long as he's got an increased attack buff, which I've got the Arbiter placing on him. He will make quick work of those Skull Crowns in the arena. Here's another, right on cue, another example of it, the Skull Crown on the far right. We've got Genbo buffing himself, and then slapping down the Skull Crown. Super easy arena farming. Absolutely love this guy as an arena nuker for speed farming those great haul points. Now let's go ahead and get Genbo graded. You can see all of the grades down here from my tier list, and I will break it down for you. You can see the 7.6 overall. Don't be fooled by that. In the context of a tier list, he's going to get drugged down a little bit because he's not great in like the Spider or the Fire Knight or the Clan Boss, so it's going to drag down his overall score, but he does have a very carved out role. He's very fun to have built on your account. You can see there the score of 11 in the arena. He's an amazing arena nuker, and he's going to be great for speed farming the arena, especially in speed-tuned nuking teams, and that's why I gave him a book value of 10, because he's going to be great as a DPS as well in the Shadowkin Faction Wars. And then some of these most of these grades should make sense. Obviously the Clan Boss is pretty low at 3, because other than being like hitting kind of hard, he doesn't get any value out of anything he does, like ignoring the Unkillable, like some of the stuff he's not going to be, his aura doesn't work, so not going to be like a Clan Boss role filled very much for him outside of like the early game, just trying to hit hard. And then everything else pretty normal. You see the Arcane Keep at 11 because he does do some self buffing and crank out a bunch of damage, so he can be definitely really good there. So I think they did a good job designing him, and even though the 7.6 overall grade looks low, I do think he is worth books, and he's pretty solid. So now let's pull up the infographic and have a discussion here in closing to kind of wrap everything up after building him and testing him and talking about all this stuff. So Yeah, I think Genbo is one of the champions Plarium has done the best job designing in a pretty long time. He's very good. He's got a very carved out role, but he's not OP, and the trade-off is he's got some kind of low stats, like low base HP, and he's not great in like the clan boss or other areas of the game. And also, like I said, I like how the book structure was designed. You don't feel like you have to spend 12, 14, 16 books on him to feel like he's a good champion. He's going to be good basically right out the box, but he can get better with books. So I think it's one of those rare times where he does take a lot of books, but they got how they at least designed the books properly. And then coupling that with his aesthetics and the fun role he has in the game, I do think they did a great job in designing Genbo in general, because he can be a damage carry in the Shadowkin faction or some of those dungeon teams, and definitely as an arena nuker, but the trade-off is he is not very good in other areas of the game. So that will do it for this one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I'm working on a lot of graphics like this that I'm going to be cranking out on a weekly basis for you to have those at your disposal. And as always, let me know what you think down below. I really enjoy hearing your perspectives as well, and I do like to formulate that into my opinions when I do these gradings, and they are subject to change based on what I hear from other players and the community as well. So thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.